I entered the religious community of the Sisters of St. Joseph in 1948, and I've been 64 years a religious. About the first 30 of those years were spent teaching from the middle grades up through high school. And the second 30 years were spent in the field of religious education, being in charge of such a program in parishes and being a consultant for religious education in the Diocese of Burlington, Vermont for a few years. The spiritual road is very intricate, and at first, like when you first go into the convent, or at least for myself, it was more or less listening carefully to what the Mistress of Novices had to say and trying to adapt yourself to the suggestions that they made. And then when you go out on the mission, you're placed in front of children, and of course you have to teach a religion lesson. So I think my spirituality was influenced by trying to make religion understandable to young children, and then to high school, trying to convince them that to follow Christ was a very noble vocation, but it didn't have to be in religious life, that the vocation of marriage and motherhood and fatherhood was just as valuable. I'm still interested in understanding the areas of the church, sacraments and prayer and so forth. I'm interested in learning more about that, and I have had such wonderful time reading spiritual books and looking into theology and morality and so forth, and realizing that there's a lot about me that I didn't know was missing. And I've learned that there's some things in life. I thought I was the most patient person in the world, but I'm really not. And it just, I believe it helped me to make a lot of progress in my spirituality. Parents have such a key role in shaping and molding what the young child is going to merge into as a teenager and then as a young adult. I think they need to give good example. If children and young adults and teenagers never see their parents praying, then they're not going to be too interested in prayer, and so on. I'm not trying to put a guilt trip on parents, but I think the youth have so much to contend with. I think there are so many incentives out there to go the wrong way because you want to be part of the group. So they've got to fight that. They've also got to fight becoming who they are and understanding who am I and so forth. That's a tremendous task, I think. I'm in the early stages of growing old. I'm 83 years old, and I think I'm a teenager. And maybe that's good. I've got a place where that is the atmosphere of growing old, and I just think you have to look at the positive. There are a lot of difficult things in giving up an active life and coming to the age of retirement. Sometimes there's pain and suffering, and that's hard to explain, and it's difficult to deal with. But through the good times and the bad times, if you can be very positive, and when you're tempted to say, oh, what a place, you got to do this, you can't do that, if you just stop and look at all the benefits that are there, I think that helps. It may not always help when you're bedridden and in great pain or paralyzed and so forth. Then I think you need your faith and your trust in God, that somehow God has a plan for you and God will work things out for you beautifully in the end.